There we go. Hello, hello, hello. This is Rich Kale here on YouTube, Rich Gen XL Square, and it is time for us to return to Lamplight City. We are on the final case of the game. Alright. It's time to cause someone to get kicked out.
Excuse me, are you Kurt Williamson?
That's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
Oh, yeah? What is it you want from me?
Ethel sent me to tell you she wants you to come home right away.
I should have known. I can't get away for more than a few hours before she's put the entire city on high alert. How much of my retirement fund did she waste on getting you to come down here?
I'm only doing this because I need some information.
The joke's on you, then. You can just go back and tell her I'll come home when I'm damn well ready.
Yeah, well, let's find out.
Why is it you're so averse to returning home?
I enjoy going out and having a good time. Is that so wrong?
Your wife told me she doesn't like you spending your money on drink.
What I spend my money on is none of her business, and even less of yours. What's this world coming to when a man can't even drink in peace without all his affairs shouted from the rooftops?
You know, this whole situation seems awfully familiar.
Listen, Mr. Williamson, I think I know what you're going through.
Oh, yeah?
My wife and I were having a rough patch. I wasn't being honest with her, and it nearly drove us apart.
But you managed to fix things.
Yes, I was fortunate. I did the right thing before it was too late.
And what did you do?
It was simple. I just communicated honestly and openly with her. I told her what was wrong and how I was feeling. And you know what? She listened. Have you ever told Ethel why you like going out?
No. I assumed she wouldn't understand. I really wish she would come out with me, but I know she'd never agree.
How do you know? Have you actually talked to her about this?
Well, no.
Well, then maybe you should. If she knew you wanted company, she might just give it a try.
You know, I never thought of it like that. I'm going to go home right now and tell her. And if she refuses, well, at least I asked, right?
Right!
That's the spirit.
Thanks for the advice, friend. I really do appreciate it.
Not bad. I have to say, I'm impressed.
Mm-hmm. Now, they were talking about something. Oh. I didn't realize I opened the documents. Okay. Well, now that we got him out, let's go back and talk. Let's see. House, gas on the docks. Ah.
Ah, Mr. Fordham, thank you so much for getting Kurt back home.
Don't mention it. Now, would you be willing to answer some questions?
Well, yes, of course.
Ah, there we go.
Tell me what you know about Burley Cause.
Yeah.
He and his wife hadn't been living next door very long, maybe 4 months or so. But I didn't talk to either of them very much. They weren't interested in being neighborly, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a shame, really. Maybe if we had known one another better, something like this could have been prevented.
Oh?
What happened on the day Mr. Cause was killed?
Yeah.
I was here, at home, doing my knitting as usual. All of a sudden, I heard a loud bang. It sounded like a gunshot. I went and knocked on Mrs. Cause's door, but there was no answer. I did notice a smell, though, like flowers. Something seemed wrong, so I decided to report the incident to the police. Not long after that, an officer showed up and started asking questions.
Oh.
Awful man he was, so rude. I could report him, but I forgot his name. I think it started with a P.
Parsons?
Yes, that's him. He called for some more officers and they got into the apartment. That's when I found out Mr. Cause had been murdered.
Oh my goodness.
Where is Mrs. Cause now?
I don't know, with her mother maybe. That's usually how it goes.
You wouldn't happen to know where that is, would you?
Afraid not, but there is one other thing.
Yes.
Don't say I told you, Jess, but I used to hear the two of them through my wall. I
Oh.
tried ignoring it since it's really none of my business, but it came impossible.
What was it you heard?
Yes.
I don't believe they had a happy marriage. They'd have fights a couple times a week.
Oh.
Fight about.
Oh, sorts of things. The worst one was when she discovered he was going to brothel. I think he might
Oh.
her reputation too. I can't be certain. I hope you think me a horrible old gossip, but I thought you might know.
Not at all. I'm glad you told me.
Well, now we know of a brothel. Well,
Are
let's...
you familiar with the Justice Killer?
You mean the serial killer who's been killing and lately?
That's the one.
Nah, never heard of him.
What?
Just one with the legs this board. I like this one. She's got spirit. Unfortunately, I don't know what I read in the set, but it's scary to think some maniac is loose on the streets doing such terrible things. And going out by himself for hours at a time. Oh, I don't like one bit.
How long have you been living here?
Kurt and I moved shortly after we were married, so it's been about 34 years.
Bless you.
Goodness, that's a long time to be living in one place.
Well, building may run down. And it's cold in the winter. But the rent has always been cheap. You can't really ask for much more than that.
I appreciate your time, William Johnson.
Have a good day, before
All right. Now, here I thought I was going to have to go to a more, I don't know why not.
There doesn't seem to.
Yeah. Okay, but now we know that he was going to a brothel. Well, we're done there. Brewing Coffee House. Police station. The Lamp Depot. Well, let's go to the Houses of Parliament. Whoa!
Fordham, what brings you to this delightful spectacle?
Hello, Edwards. I'm investigating the Justice Killer. I believe I've got a very promising lead.
I heard an officer mention new orders from Snelling, but I thought he was just pulling my leg. Feel free to have a look around. I'm just writing up the notes from my initial examination of the body, so I'll be happy to share my findings.
Very good.
I'll just get started then.
Alright, so here we got the...
Looks pretty fresh. I wonder what the killer uses to write with. Nothing but a bunch of boring documents. You'd think he could have at least been considerate enough to keep something scandalous in here.
Yeah, they're not going to keep anything scandalous there.
These appear to be books on cryptography. I suppose everyone needs a hobby. History books and political theory. I might die of boredom. Again. Biographies and autobiographies. Dull, dull, dull.
Not necessarily dull.
Biography. History.
Okay, what's this? Calendar.
Nothing has been written in yet for next month. Curious. Odd. The page for this month has been torn out. You suppose Edwards might know anything about that?
Could be.
The former Percival McDonough, being a good politician. The former... Leave it to a politician to hang a portrait of himself in his own office.
Yeah, that does make sense.
No signs of forced entry that I can see. The murderer didn't come in through this window.
Alright, Dr. Edwards. I think it's time we talk.
Got a moment, Edwards?
Of course. What's on your mind?
So, what was found at the crime scene?
A dead body.
Edwards.
Hey, just trying to lighten the mood a bit. Anyway, there was also the word justice written in blood, as you can see on the floor there.
Yes.
Is that all?
What more do you need? All the pieces are in place. This is the work of the Justice Killer.
What did your examination of the body turn up?
Apparent
Yeah.
cause of death was a single gunshot to the head. exactly like all the other victims. The bullet is still lodged in his brain. I'll remove it once I transport the body back to the mortuary.
Okay.
Anything else?
No personal effects of note, just a folded up piece of paper in his breast pocket. It's blank, so the police weren't interested. I assume you aren't either.
Never assume, Edwards. I'll take it if you don't mind.
Be my guest.
Okay. So we have that piece of paper.
Did the police manage to learn anything during their investigation?
Yes.
Not much beyond what I've already told you. I think they were planning on speaking to the victim's wife, though.
Did you get the address?
I did, as a matter of fact. 1820 Kent Place.
Okay.
Now we get to deal with the grieving widow. Hopefully the officers who delivered the news got the worst of it.
Did you find an Easter lily anywhere?
An Easter lily?
Yes. The Justice Killer leaves one at every crime scene.
Is that right? I never noticed.
Neither did anyone else, apparently.
So how does leaving a lily at the scene of the crime figure into all of this?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think it might be important to understanding his motive.
Yes.
Well, be sure to let me know if you do figure it out. The thought process of killers is a twisted, curious thing.
What's your take on this whole Justice Killer situation?
It's giving me a lot of extra work, let me tell you. We haven't had a serial murderer in a long time. Not since that fellow who was poisoning people about 10 years ago.
Ah, yes. Gascon Ghoul. Now there was a case.
Any theories or insights regarding the killer's motive or identity?
That's not really my specialty. If you want to get into that psychology stuff, you're better off talking to someone like Snelling.
Edwards, did you notice McDonough's desk calendar?
I did. This month has been torn out. I asked the officers investigating the scene, and they had no idea what happened to it.
So it wasn't found in this room?
That's right. My theory is that the killer took it.
Which means there was probably something incriminating written on it. If only there was some way of knowing what it was.
Miles, have you forgotten the oldest trick in the book? Just find a pencil and you'll have that information in no time.
He's right.
Edwards, do you have a pencil I might borrow?
Of course. Take this one.
Thank you.
That's what I was thinking.
Does it feel good to be out of the office?
As long as I have the chance to examine a body and learn something in the process, I don't care where I am. Though I do admit a preference to working in my own environment. Fieldwork can be a bit uncertain. There's so much more potential for contamination, especially with those clumsy officers trouncing about groping everything.
Yeah.
Present company excluded, of course.
That's all for now, Edwards.
Good luck with your investigation.
All right.
A classic trick. Let's see if it works.
There's gotta be something. There it is! Oh. Ruby T. Shockley at 10 p.m. And that's all. There we go.
Intriguing. I wonder if this is the same Ruby the girl at the coffee house mentioned.
At 8 p.m. T. Shockley, 10 p.m. Anything more? Let's see. So far, nothing more. I just want to make sure. Because we also have that T. Shockley.
Aha! McDonough met with this person the night of the murder. I'll bet 500 crowns it's a false name, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
It seems the killer didn't want anyone to know about this meeting with McDonough, and possibly not with Ruby either.
Okay. Let's see.
No time to waste with further conversation.
Yep. All right. Alrighty. The widow. Let's talk with the widow now. She's already dressed for being a widow.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. Your butler just announced me.
Oh, of course. Forgive me. I was just, well, never mind. Please make yourself comfortable, Mr. Fordham.
Thank you, Mrs. McDonough.
Well, let's see.
Just a painting of some boring old aristocrat. Lord Alfred Edward Shufflebottom the Wise comes to mind when looking at this one. This one looks like a Lady Camilla Prudence Wigglewaddle the Grey. I
Yeah.
think I'll call this one Lord Edmund Henry Lickspittle the Elder. Surely this one was called Lady Felicity Euphemia Beaversnatch the Simple.
I love these names.
They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless. I feel sorry for the sucker who has to clean them.
Yeah. First off, examining the room.
They look expensive.
Yeah. Alright, let's talk.
I appreciate you seeing me, Mrs. McDonough. I know you must be going through a difficult time right now.
What exactly is it you want from me, Mr. Fordham? I already spoke to the police about my husband's murder.
I just have a few questions of my own.
Oh, very well.
Let's see what we can get.
What can you tell me about your husband?
I'll tell you the same thing I told the police, Mr. Fordham. Percival was one of the hardest working members of Parliament. He took his job extremely seriously. The recent election caused him a terrible amount of consternation, as I'm sure it did most people. He took Atwood's loss rather hard.
Did you see much of him?
I beg your pardon?
Surely someone with such an important position in government could find themselves consumed by their work. Did he spend much time at home?
He made it a point to come home and have dinner with me every night, even if you had to return to the office afterwards.
And did that happen often?
At least 3 or 4 times in a week, yes. He'd stay in his office working late into the night.
Well,
As
that's
I
a
said,
common
he was
excuse.
very dedicated to his role.
Sounds to me like she's quite dedicated to hers, too.
Did your husband have any enemies?
He was a politician, Mr. Fordham. Half the city hated him.
Did he ever receive any kind of threats against his life?
Yeah.
None that I was ever made aware of.
Okay.
I have no idea who could have killed him, let alone who could have gotten into his office to do it. He hadn't told me about any meetings or appointments this week either.
Was it his custom to inform you of his work affairs?
Oh, well, I've always taken an interest in my husband's work. He'd often mention initiatives he was working on or people he was meeting, that sort of thing. Nothing sensitive or confidential, you understand. Just conversation about his day.
That makes sense.
Can you think of any reason why your husband would have been murdered?
Not really. He was a vocal opponent of the construction of the Gascogne-Chumley Bridge, but I hardly think that would have been sufficient reason to drive someone to murder.
Why is that?
Well, it's just a bridge, isn't it? There are plenty of other ways to get to Chumley.
I meant, why was he opposed to it?
Oh, because the amount of money required to build it is exorbitant. Public funds should be used on roads and buildings that are falling apart. What's the point of having something shiny and new if everything around it is in disrepair?
Well, that does make sense.
How are you feeling, Mrs. McDonough?
My husband of 42 years was shot in his office. How do you think I feel?
Tactful as always, Fordham.
Well,
Do you do it?
My apologies. Perhaps that wasn't the most appropriate question. Is there anything I can do to help?
You can start by finding the monster who murdered Percival.
Are you familiar with the art of cryptography, Mrs. McDonough?
What an
Yeah.
odd question.
It's just I noticed several books on the subject in your husband's office.
yeah.
Oh, well, yes. Percival was interested in cryptography and secret messages and the like. He would sometimes leave me coded notes when we first began courting many years ago.
That's kind of
What
cute.
kind of notes?
Oh, now, Mr. Fordham, those were private. But Percival got a thrill out of knowing I was the only one who could read them. Sometimes he would write them using a special ink that would only appear when the paper was heated. I can't remember the last time he did that, though.
Do you know anyone named Shackley?
No, I've never heard that name before. Why?
I saw your husband had a meeting scheduled with him shortly before his murder.
That can't be right. He didn't tell me about that. He always told me about his meetings.
It was written on his office calendar, clear as day.
As I said, I don't know who that person is. Why wouldn't Percival have told me about their meeting?
Why indeed?
Well, I'm not going to mention Ruby right now.
Have you heard of the Justice Killer?
That was the name the police mentioned when they told me about Percival's murder. It's absolutely terrifying to think that one sick person could be capable of such Such evil. Why is he called the Justice Killer? What justice was done by murdering my husband?
I'm afraid I can't answer that right now, Mrs. McDonough, but I intend to find out. Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
Not unless I need to.
If this actually works, I'll eat my hat.
Dearest Mary, words cannot express the regret and sorrow I feel for how I acted last night. I swore to myself I would never harm you again after the last time, but I have failed us both. It is my deepest hope that you can forgive me and trust that I will never let this monster out again. Personal.
Well, I'll be damned.
Mary.
Can we talk some more, Mrs. McDonough?
I suppose so, yes.
I think so.
Do you know anything about this letter?
I'm afraid I don't have my spectacles. What is it?
The coroner found it in your husband's pocket. He gave it to me because he thought it was blank.
Yeah.
But after you told me about your husband's propensity for writing secret messages, I decided to try exposing the paper to heat. Allow me to read it to you. Dearest Mary, words cannot express the regret and sorrow I feel for how I acted last night. I swore to myself I would never harm you again after the last time, but I have failed us both. It is my deepest hope that you can forgive me and trust that I will never allow this monster out again.
I see. May I have that letter, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I have to keep it for now. It's evidence.
I suppose that does make sense.
Mrs. McDonough, did Percival mistreat or abuse you?
He wasn't a bad man, Mr. Fordham. I wouldn't have married him if he was. It's just the stress of his responsibilities would sometimes oppress him. I would try and offer comfort, soothe his nerves, but there were a few instances where he lost control of his passions.
Did he ever hit you?
He did.
How many times did this happen?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 2 or 3? You don't exactly count these things.
What a bastard. Maybe it serves him right for getting shot.
Thank you for your candor, Mrs. McDonough.
Can we please talk about something else?
Yeah. Well, now we know something else.
Those are all the questions I have for now,
Not
Mrs.
yet.
McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
But now I know something more. I want to talk to her about Ruby again.
Begging your pardon, miss.
How can I help you, sir?
This friend of yours, Ruby, did she know an MP named Percival McDonough?
I'm not sure. Ruby knows a lot of men.
Is
I
that
see.
so?
Well, no, I don't mean... It's just... Oh, damn it all, me and my big mouth. She'll have my guts for garters now.
It's all right. No one's in trouble. But I think I'd like to speak with Ruby. Could you tell me where I can find her?
Yes.
No. You see, she moves around quite a lot. Never in the same place for more than a night or two.
Right. I think she's given us a clear picture of what Ruby does for a living.
Yep.
Normally, I'd be all for pressing this girl more until she cracks, but I like her. I think we'll be able to find Ruby without causing her more discomfort.
Well, thank you for the information. You've been very helpful.
Okay.
I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, sir.
So now, let's look at our case book. Letter from the Redites. And Percival's letter. Clues. Burley Cause said his wife would have frequent disagreements. Mrs. McDonald's Percival would occasionally fly into a rage, and which is definitely deplorable. Suspects. No suspects. Gotta locate Ruby. PF. I wonder if that's the Redites. Alright. We are trying to figure some things out. Alright. So let me see something here. Can we do anything?
Completely ruined. Whoever sabotaged this knew what they were doing.
Yes. There may be something else here. Something I'm missing.
This place sure is big. I wonder if they actually make anything useful.
I can't get past that until I figure out who did this. I wonder if I can get any more information from him.
Mr. Mims, a word if you wouldn't mind?
Yes, what is it?
Let's see here.
Are you sure you can't tell me anything about Hannibal Kirkland?
It's like I've told you. I've got to deal with this mess. I don't have time for your questions.
Okay.
I'll be going now.
Be careful.
So... I want to figure out where I have to go next here. Bridge construction site, the docks, the coffee house, the police station, Houses of Parliament. Okay, Upton's not here. I want to save, just as a chance, before I save for the night. I just want to see if I can go into the police station and get information. No, I can't. Uh-oh.
Fordham, how goes the investigation?
I'm making some headway.
Is that right? I certainly hope so for your sake.
Okay. Well, apparently I can,
The rumor was always that the chief kept a bottle of something in a secret compartment in this cabinet. In Snelling's case, it's probably just water.
Well, I wonder if I can... I want to just see if I can get any leeway.
Chief Snelling?
Yes, Fordham?
Let's see if I can figure out anything. Oh, maybe I can.
Have you got any information on the Redites?
The Redites? That ridiculous gang of troublemakers? Yes, I have some information. What's your interest in them?
A witness is refusing to speak with me unless I can figure out who sabotaged his iron mill.
I see. All I can offer is a list of names of known Redites along with their last known whereabouts.
Well, that'd
But
be
I
it.
remind you that you only have until tomorrow afternoon before this indulgence expires, and I throw you in jail. This seems like a waste of time.
That's my decision to make.
Very well. I'll give you the list when you're ready to leave.
Ah.
So I see the department is still running like a well-oiled machine.
It is, in fact. But I'm sure Upton has kept you well informed of our activities. Incidentally, the woman accused in the Harris kidnapping is set to testify in court today.
Oh. Well, let's ask on
Linda
that.
Walker's trial is today? That was fast.
Indeed. Sometimes the wheels of justice grind slowly. Sometimes they spin out of control. She'll be taking the stand within the hour. If you care to hear her for yourself, best get going soon.
Interesting, considering that. I want to ask him something.
Listen, about Leger's death.
I don't want to hear it, Fordham. What happened, happened. Nothing you can say is going to change my opinion on the matter.
And if I manage to find the man responsible?
The man responsible is standing before me. Even if you manage to find the culprit you let escape, it isn't going to bring Leger back from the dead.
But it will bring closure to the matter.
If that thought is what allows you to sleep at night, then so be it.
What makes him think you sleep at night?
Okay. I'm going to end the conversation
I
here.
need to get back to my investigation.
Yes, time is not on your side, Fordham.
But at least now I have the list of Redites.
Here you are. This is the most recent list of known Redites.
Wow, look at that.
This is a lot of names. If we're going to track down this saboteur, it might be best to retire to a more tranquil environment. Fancy a trip back to Upton's?
Mm-hmm. But what we're we're going to do is we're going to save it here, and then on our next step, we're going to head to Upton's. And, we're going to figure out who we're going after here. And maybe PF. Okay. Yep. So, we're going to save the game here. Now that we have more leads, but we're going to be doing a lot of figuring here. But that can wait till next time. As always, this is Rich Kale here on YouTube, Rich Gen X Elsewhere, inviting you to subscribe to the channel. And if you've watched to the end, thank you very much. I've worked my way through other point-and-click adventures, such as I Have No Mouth and I'm a Scream, and Kathy Rain, A Detective is Born. I've also played through The Dark Side Detective, and eventually I will get to the second game. I did pick it up when it came out. Now, also come check out some of the other playthroughs I have up on the channel, including I'm playing through the Tomb Raider Core Designs timeline, which is the first 6 Tomb Raider games ever released. And I'm currently on The Last Revelation. I'm also working my way through the Sherlock Holmes series of games from Frogwares. At the time of release, at the time of this recording, I'm on the 6th game in the franchise, the 6th game release. I'm doing them chronologically, which means once Chapter 1 comes out, that will be the new first in the franchise. I am also working my way through, but the 6th game I'm working through is the Testament of Sherlock Holmes. I finished Aliens vs. Predator, the 2010 release, and now I'm going to start in on Aliens vs. Predator, the 2000 release. Hopefully, I can do very good with that. I have only, quote, experimented with it a little bit. I'm also working my way through, the Portal series. I've recently finished Portal 1, so I'm going to be tackling Portal 2. I'm also working my way through The Witness. I'm working my way through the Zork franchise in a chronological order. I just recently finished Zork 1, so I'll be taking on Zork 2. And I am also working my way through Gibbous, a Cthulhu adventure. And there are a few other games up on the channel you may check out. I also have a series of runs through the game of Monstrum. Those pair every other Tuesday as of now. Every Thursday I have a Monstrum 2 running going up. I'm also reading through some prose, which goes up on a Tuesday morning. And these are stories I've written. I have another game that's going up on a Wednesday morning, and I have retrospectives of every game I've beaten going up on a Saturday morning. So please, subscribe to the channel, check everything out, I'd appreciate it. And until next time, this is Rich Kale here on YouTube, Rich Gen X Elsewhere. Have fun! Bye!